Okay, so today we are going to take a look at writing about our different topic ideas, the number one topic that we've selected in 4 different modes of writing. So the first thing that we need to do is set up our page for doing that. So turn with me, follow along please with the video, do everything I'm doing as we set up the page. Go to your drafting section in your notebook, right here, drafting. And go to that first page of drafting in your notebook. Go ahead and number this one as page 1 in drafting. And you are going to make a big 4 squares on this page. First of all, at the top, we're going to write down the title here, which will be 4 modes of writing. Your first line, write down topic, idea, ... colon, underline. Then we're going to make the big square. So make one line all the way from the very left edge all the way across. Just follow that line, lock your wrist in. Go all the way across, and then pick a spot right there in the middle and make a line that goes from that line across all the way down to the bottom. Pick out a spot, try to aim it in as close as you can to right about halfway. You don't really need to count lines though, it's not that important to be exact on it. So I'm going to say right there is about halfway for me, so I'll make another line all the way from the very far left edge all the way across to the right. Now I have 4 squares on my page. Hopefully you're following along and yours looks exactly like this. Zoom out for you there a little bit. You can see the whole page. So your page looks just like this. In the upper left box at the top, you are going to write narrative. Narrative is just a fancy word for story. Narrative/story. So yours should look exactly like that. Then in the box next to that, you're going to write informative. If you'd like to underline these, that'd be a fine idea. I guess I'll go ahead and underline mine. In the box to the lower left, we're going to write argumentative. Just like that. And over here to the right, we will write poetry. These are the 4 modes of writing that we're going to put our one idea into. So we're going to try out different modes of writing. Let me zoom out again so you can get the whole page. Make sure yours looks just like that. Maybe if you did a little bit better job of dividing halfway, this line's just a little bit lower on yours than it is on mine. So we've gone through yesterday. You guys spent a lot of time selecting and getting your idea narrowed down to exactly what you want it to be. Today we are going to move into trying out different modes of writing. And so I'm going to demonstrate that for you as we go. Again, hopefully your page looks just like this. I'm going to demonstrate my writing for you, so obviously you're not copying down my writing. But in a moment, after I'm done with the demonstration, you will write down your ideas for it. So here's a worksheet that I worked on yesterday. And let me come in here a little bit and hopefully get the screen to not be so shaky. This way. So, as you see, I had 3 ideas. First one was playing fetch with my dog, Lucky, and that was a pretty good story. I liked it. I put that one as number 3, though. I had wrestling my senior year. and how I had failed to make the state wrestling tournament, which was a big goal, but I still came back and got third place at the tournament, which I thought showed some determination there with the tournament. And then another story, I had lots of stories about camping on the river with my dad. You know, as I was thinking about it, after yesterday, I had originally said wrestling was number 1, camping with my dad was number 2, and fetch with Lucky Dog was number 3. I kind of changed my mind a little bit, so I'm going to change these numbers, and I'm going to make this one number 1. I just think I have more stories there. I'm going to make this one number 2. This one still might be a really good story, but I just kind of been more interested in writing about this one today. So that's what I'm going to focus on. And as I said, I have lots of stories. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to tie together, but I know they're there, and so I'm going to work on that. But today, we're going to ask you to stretch your writing muscles a little bit and try to write things in different categories. So in each of these 4 squares, you're going to write about the same topic in different ways. So my topic that I'm going to write in, my number 1 topic, is camping on the river with my dad and my brother. So I'm going to write that right here under topic idea. I'm going to say camping on river with my dad and brother. And we're going to try different ways of writing about this. And what we're going to do is just kind of pretend like this is the start of a narrative story, the start of an informational piece, the start of an argumentative piece, and the start of a piece of poetry. So, if this were a narrative story, I might want to start out with the hook technique of starting out with a really vivid description. And I can think of the sensation when I'm camping there of a couple things come to mind. First one that comes to mind is what it's like to catch a fish, right? And especially a good-sized fish where it bends your pullover and yanks on the line, you have to reel it in, and just that sensation. There's a lot of sensory language that I can talk about with that. Or I might want to talk about another thing that happened on the camping trip a lot was it would rain, and our tents were always kind of crummy tents, and we always got all wet with the rain. And so I'm trying to decide, it depends on which kind of tone I'm going to have for my story. If I want to make it kind of more sad and funny, I might go with the raining picture description, or if it's more like fun and outgoing and like more happy stories, I might talk about the fishing thing first. I think I'm going to go for the raining one, at least for now. I might go back and change it later. But for now, I would start out with a description of that. I'm going to start with a nice short sentence. I'm going to say, there is no way to stop it. Starts as a slow, cold trickle of water gathering at my feet. Soon my feet are soaked. Then another trickle slithers. I'm going to say it's like a snake. It slithers down my back. This camping on the river. I might say sleeping there instead. I might say sleeping. Sleeping overnight? Maybe. I don't know. Notice I'm not going to erase things because it's a draft. I'm not going to take the time to erase things. So it's a story. I started out a story. Hopefully it's interesting. Hopefully I'm hooking my readers with descriptive language and getting them interested in what it is exactly that will be happening in the story. All right? Then I'm going to try the same topic, but I'm going to put it in the informative mode. And so when I slide over here, I might say something different. So I start off with a story here. Over here, for informative, what aspect of this story do I want to inform my readers about? What do I want to educate people about with regarding rivers and the camping experience? One thing, just going back to the previous idea, is just about fishing. I could talk to someone about fishing. Someday, I'm going to be teaching my son about fishing when he's old enough to be going down a river with me. And so this is something I want to think about, and something that other people might be interested in, who might want to try fishing for the first time. And so I want my readers to care about that. And so as I start out, I might say something talking about how enjoyable it is to catch a fish, and talking about that would hopefully, again, get my readers interested in what it is that I have to talk about. And so I might want to say this. I'll start off with the end goal of fishing is to catch a fish and hopefully eat it, in my opinion. So I'll say one of the finest experiences of eating is the taste of a large rainbow trout that you have caught yourself. I'm going to say comma to make a complex sentence here, using your skill, wits, and fishing pole. So hopefully that gets people interested, that they want to learn how to catch a fish. I might make that point. I might say, learning to fish is not too difficult and very fun. Now my reader knows what I'm talking about, that I'm going to be teaching them how to fish. And I'll get into more details as I would write this piece. But you see, it's a little bit different. What I'm talking about here, I'm still getting them interested, but I'm telling them what I'm going to be teaching them about, what I'm going to be educating my readers about in this informative type of writing. Very different from how I start off the narrative story. Let's go here for argumentative. And as I've been reading, one thing I know about going down the river a lot, one thing that really bugs me, especially in the summertime, and so with argumentative, I want to convince people of something. And so like I said, one thing that really bugs me is seeing how much litter there is on the river, especially people who go down and they leave their pop cans and their beer cans and their potato chip bags and their cardboard boxes and their they like take down inner tubes that pop and they just kind of leave them there in the river, and all that garbage and all that litter really bugs me. And I just think it's disgusting and an eyesore, and I don't see why other people should have to look at your garbage on the river. So if I want to convince people of something, that's what argumentative is all about, is convincing people to think or act in a certain way. I want to convince them that they should not be leaving garbage on the river when they're enjoying the river. And so I want to start off an argumentative piece with, again, something that's interesting for my readers, but sets up well, lets them know what it is I'm going to be arguing or persuading them to do. And I might start off with talking about how beautiful the river is when there is no garbage, and then talk about the problems of the garbage. I will say experience. I don't like the experience. It doesn't seem active enough to me. I'm going to try again. I'm going to start over. I'm going to say experiencing the beauty of trees, summer skies, and cool, rushing water. Is an almost spiritual event. I love spending lazy summer afternoons on the Santiam River. Lately, though, now I'm going to introduce the problem. These scenes have been ruined by filthy garbage. I would go on then, obviously, to talk about the problem of the garbage and how people need to be responsible to not litter and to take care of their own things and not leave a mess for other people. But I've introduced the problem in the argumentative writing so that my readers know this is the issue I'm addressing. I've set out kind of why it's so wonderful. I've said, hey, there's a really beautiful thing, but there's a problem. Then, throughout the essay, I will explain how to solve that problem. So that's argumentative, something I'm going to try to convince people of how to think or how to act. The fourth one we want to try out, and I want to say this is, like I said, an exercise, a practice that writers do. We practice writing in different modes. We practice writing things that are a little bit difficult for us. This is stretching our muscles. This is making us work a little bit harder in our writing. We might want to normally, but that will make us better writers. And when we go to write our final draft, when we start picking our subject, when we know exactly which mode we're going to go into, we're going to say, okay, this is what I can focus on, and I'm better at it because of these exercise, this practice of writing something that is hard. So this final mode, poetry. And there are all kinds of ways to do poetry, and one of the fun things, especially if you have something that's especially emotional or a really vivid image, it lends itself well to poetry. And so I have lots of memories of being in the river, swimming, fishing, just being out in the shade, being out in the sun, skipping rocks, all kinds of things that I can talk about, sensory language, and focus on that. For this pre-write, I'm not going to have a lot of rules as far as poetry goes. It does not have to rhyme. Rhyming is only one thing that poetry does. But we might just take a look here. Let's see, what kind of things would I want to write poetry about? Maybe as I was just talking out loud there, I thought about swimming, I was diving in, I thought about skipping rocks, I thought about fish, and to me, all those things jump in the water or splash in the water. So that might be something that I would possibly be able to write some poetry about. So let's see here. I'll start saying, silver flash. A 12-inch trout. Breaks. Assignments. The morning. Single fluttering splash. I don't know, I'll say is or would be. I'll say is. Is the most wonderful alarm clock I know. You'll notice I'm just kind of writing here, but I'm breaking up into lines of poetry. Later on, if I were to take this and develop into more poetry, I'd fit it into maybe some more rules, maybe some different lines. Maybe I might try to make, I noticed that I have splash and flash, those rhyme, so I might do some rhyming. I also have a single, splash, silence, silver. That is some alliteration when we have the same letter starting. So that might be something I would develop later on with poetry. And so I've started a poem here. I'm comparing the splash of a fish. So like if I, again, I'm still thinking about if I was camping on the river and I hear a fish splashing in the morning, it wakes me up. And what a wonderful sound that is, because it's just peaceful and beautiful out in nature. And it means I get to go fishing, which is way better than an alarm clock going, Anyhow, just an example of starting to write something with poetic language, with poetic devices. Same topic that we have before. So again, the point here was that we made narrative story. We took the same idea, camping on the river with my dad and brother, and I could start off making it as a narrative, making it as an informative piece, or making it argumentative or poetic. All four are totally capable of doing with the same topic idea. It might be different aspects of it. Here I'm talking about garbage and litter. There I'm talking about getting wet when I'm sleeping. Here I'm talking about eating a rainbow trout and fishing. And here I'm talking about a fish jumping in the river. And so all of those things are just different parts, different aspects of the same topic. So now it's going to be your turn to take your topic and stretch your writing muscles into these different areas. Thank you.